Have you ever thought about donating blood, but then you kind of get stuck in the what ifs? What if this medication I'm on is a problem? Or what if I had the flu last month? Donating blood is such an amazing thing to do, but let's be real, the rules can sometimes feel like a total maze. So let's walk through them together and clear things up. When it comes right down to it, the answer to that big question, can I donate, is almost always hiding in your personal health history. So what we're going to do is break down the key medical guidelines to help you figure out exactly where you stand.
Okay, so before we even get into specific conditions like asthma or diabetes, it's important to know that every single person who wants to donate starts in the exact same spot. And that's with a simple but super important screening process that's there to protect everybody.
This whole check-in is usually pretty quick, and it has 4 main parts. First up is a private medical questionnaire, and this is where your honesty is absolutely everything. Then they do a quick vitals check, blood pressure, pulse, temperature, just to make sure you're feeling 100%. After that comes a tiny finger prick to test your hemoglobin. This just tells them you've got plenty of healthy red blood cells to spare. And finally, a healthcare pro gives everything one last look. See? It's just a quick check to make sure the donation is safe for you and, of course, for the person who's going to receive it.
All right, let's jump into the good news first. A lot of people think that having any kind of health issue means they're automatically out. But honestly, for so many common, well-managed conditions, that's just not the case. We're calling these the green light situations. This quote really hits the nail on the head. The main thing isn't about having a totally perfect bill of health. It's all about stability and control. If your condition is managed and you feel great on the day you go in to donate, the door is very often wide open for you.
So for example, if you're on medication that keeps your high blood pressure in a healthy range, you can usually donate. The same thing often goes for managed diabetes, just as long as there aren't any serious complications. And even things like mild allergies or controlled asthma typically won't stop you, as long as you're breathing easy and feeling good that day.
Next up, let's talk about the yellow light category. Now, these are the situations that don't disqualify you forever, but they do mean you have to take a little break from donating. Just think of it as hitting the pause button, not the stop button. So what kind of thing might put you on a temporary hold? Well, a recent surgery is a really common one. And that's just to give your body plenty of time to heal up. If you've just gotten over something like the flu, you'll also need to wait until you're totally symptom-free. Other reasons could be having low hemoglobin levels or even getting certain types of vaccinations recently. Speaking of hemoglobin, what is that anyway? Well, it's this super important protein inside your red blood cells that's responsible for carrying oxygen all around your body. That little finger prick test makes sure you have enough to donate without it affecting your own health. If your levels are a little low, no big deal. They'll just ask you to wait a bit until they're back up in a healthy range.
And not all waiting periods are the same. A minor surgery might mean a pretty short break just until you're healed, but a major surgery can mean waiting weeks or even a few months. It's the same with vaccines. Something like a standard flu shot is what's called an inactivated vaccine, and that often means no wait at all. But a live vaccine, on the other hand, might mean a short deferral while your immune system is busy building up its defenses.
And that brings us to our last category, the red light conditions. These are the ones that lead to a permanent deferral. And while that can be really disappointing to hear, these rules are absolutely crucial for keeping the entire blood supply safe.
This group includes blood-borne infectious diseases like HIV or hepatitis B and C, which can be transmitted through a transfusion. Severe heart conditions are also on this list because donating puts a mild, temporary strain on your body that could be risky for someone with a serious heart problem. And finally, certain blood disorders and some types of cancer can also permanently prevent you from donating. Look, these rules are so strict for one simple, incredibly powerful reason: to keep the blood supply as safe as humanly possible. It's all about protecting the most vulnerable patients, people in accidents, patients fighting cancer, and even tiny premature babies who all depend on that safety. No questions asked.
And hey, it's not just about your diagnosis. The medications you're taking are just as important. Some drugs, like blood thinners that change how your platelets work, or even some meds for skin conditions, can affect your eligibility. That's why it is absolutely essential to tell them about every single thing you're taking during that screening process.
All of these rules, all of these checks, they all lead to the single most important part of its entire process: you. The safety of our blood supply really does depend on the honesty of every single person who sits down in that donation chair.
So being completely open and honest on that questionnaire is like a 3-part promise. First, it protects you from any potential issues from donating.
Second, it protects the future patient from any hidden risks. And third, it keeps the incredibly high safety standards of the blood supply right where they need to be. Seriously, even if a detail seems tiny or unimportant to you, it's always better to mention.
You know, it might help to think about the screening process a little differently. It's not a test you have to pass or fail. It's really more of a partnership, a team effort between you and the donation staff to make sure everything is as safe as possible for everyone.
At the end of the day, understanding these guidelines really empowers you. It gives you the knowledge to figure out if you can take part in this amazing, life-saving act. It's a whole system that's built on care, caution, and community. So the only question left is, now that you know the rules, are you ready to help save a life?